Hey, welcome. So today we're going to dig into this really fascinating idea called the Monaco Syndrome. It's based on an essay that tackles a paradox I think a lot of us have wondered about. Why do people who make a ton of money so often feel like they're broke?
And this question, this is really the heart of it all. You see people in these amazing, high-paying jobs. We're talking incomes in the top 1%. And yet, you hear them talk about financial stress. It just doesn't add up, right? How in the world can you be earning that much money and still feel like you're just scraping by?
So that brings us to our first section, where we're going to explore this very strange disconnect. Let's call it the paradox of wealth. What's so interesting is that this isn't just a one-off thing. The essay we're looking at points out that this feeling is, well, it's everywhere, from top government officials to big shot executives in the private sector. You have people at the absolute peak of the income ladder who can still feel like they're barely making ends meet. So, what is actually going on here? To really get to the why, we've got to look at these powerful psychological forces that are pulling the strings behind the scenes. And that brings us right to our next section, the lifestyle treadmill. Okay, so the first big culprit here is a little something called lifestyle creep. The source essay actually calls it escalada do estilo de vida, and it's a pretty simple idea. The more you make, the more you spend. That big raise or that nice bonus, it often doesn't end up in your savings account. Nope, it just gets absorbed into a brand new, much more expensive way of living. And you can see the effects right here. That fancy daily coffee, the nicer car, the bigger house. Things that used to be luxuries suddenly start to feel like necessities. You create this new, higher baseline for your life, and all of a sudden, an income that should feel like a ton of money now feels like it's just barely enough to cover your new needs. And the craziest part, as the essay points out, is that the person going through it, they often don't even see it happening. You know, the Brazilian investor Luis Barsi really hits the nail on the head here. He calls it a lack of administration of the ego. That's such a great way to put it. It suggests this isn't really about spreadsheets and budgets. It's an internal fight. It's a battle against our own ego, telling us that we deserve this newer, shinier, more expensive lifestyle. And then there is the other huge piece of this puzzle, social comparison. Our whole idea of what it means to be wealthy is almost completely relative. The source uses this perfect example. Imagine a judge who earns, say, 80,000 reais a month. That's a lot of money, but they might not feel rich at all if their colleagues are pulling in 150,000. Their frame of reference, the people they see every day, completely shapes their reality. You're not just living your life, you're trying to keep up. So when you put all these things together, the lifestyle creep, the ego, the non-stop social comparison, they all feed into this really powerful central idea that the author introduces. Let's talk about the Monaco Syndrome. I love this image of Lady Justice because it's such a perfect metaphor. We like to think that financial success is this absolute thing, you know? It's all about the numbers in your bank account, but it's not. Our sense of what's fair or what's enough money is almost entirely defined by the context we're in, by the neighbors we have and the colleagues we see at work. And here it is. This is the core of it. The Monaco Syndrome describes being objectively rich by any normal standard, but feeling poor because you happen to be in an environment of absolutely insane wealth, like Monaco. If you're a millionaire, but you're surrounded by billionaires, your entire perspective can get twisted. You can feel like you're falling behind. And just to put this into perspective, the source runs the numbers. To generate a passive income of about 80,000 reais per month, we're talking the kind of money that gives you true financial freedom. You'd need to have something like 20 million invested. It just shows you the massive, massive gap between having a high salary and having true independent wealth. That high salary can start to feel like a pair of golden handcuffs. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just some individual psychological quirk. The author makes a brilliant connection between this personal syndrome and a much, much bigger context, the entire national economy of Brazil. So, drawing on the work of economist Marcos Lisboa, the essay argues that Brazil's super volatile economy just pours gasoline on this fire. You've got these constant cycles of boom and bust, and this general instability that creates a deep-seated feeling that you can never have enough because you have no idea what's coming tomorrow. This national anxiety becomes a powerful fuel for that individual Monaco syndrome. All right, so we've diagnosed the problem, and it sounds a little bleak, doesn't it? But what's the solution? Where do we go from here? Let's talk about how to get beyond this illusion of scarcity. And honestly, this slide is the whole point. The path to actually feeling good about your finances isn't necessarily about just earning more and more money. It's about fundamentally changing the way you think about it. It's about your strategy, it's about your mindset, and it's about having a firm grip on your reality, not just your perception. The essay gives us 3 really powerful antidotes. First, real financial planning, strategies to actually hold on to your wealth and make it grow, not just spend it. Second, critical self-reflection. You have to ask yourself why you want the things you want. Is it for you or for someone else? And third, cultivate what the author calls a pulsating sense of reality, which is a fancy way of saying get real with yourself. Ground your financial goals in what truly, genuinely brings you long-term happiness, not just fleeting status. So we want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own financial world. Is it being driven by what you actually need and what your own values are? Or are you just running on a treadmill, trying to keep pace with the person next to you? According to this essay, the answer to that question could change absolutely everything. Thanks for tuning in.